Yo, what is up? It's your boy WideShoes coming in with another basketball shoe review. I am, of course, reviewing the KD15s today. This is a premium basketball shoe from Nike coming in at a whopping $150. Now, before we get into this review, I just want to make a quick apology. I know almost every reviewer has already released a video for these shoes. However, when I first got this pair of basketball shoes, I thought it was one of the best pairs I had ever worn. I was going to go tell everyone to buy the shoe. And as I went through that process, I realized I should probably take my time a little bit more or be a little bit extra cautious in my review process. This led me to wearing the shoe for an extra 2 months because if I'm going to tell you it's a must buy or the shoe is amazing, I need to know what it's like from the moment I get it to when it's fully broken in, just so I can really be sure of what I'm saying about the shoe. So that's why the shoe review is a little bit late. All right, now that we're getting into the actual review of the shoe, we're going to start with what I like the most about the shoe all the way to what I like the least about the shoe. Now, what did I like the most about the shoe? It's the traction. The traction in this shoe is amazing. The KD15s are one of the best traction experiences I have ever experienced in a shoe. It is in the top 3 for me. And I think no matter what colorway you will get, you will not be disappointed. So what do I mean by that? I had a translucent colorway. Usually translucent basketball shoes are a little bit less durable, but they perform better on clean courts. For me personally, that is very accurate to what I experienced. The bite was insane in my shoes. I almost injured my ankle because I just was not used to my shoes stopping so well. Right out of the box, the traction performed amazing. There was almost no break-in time for me. And after talking to other reviewers and other people who have the shoes, the solid rubber pairs also perform outstandingly. I know someone who has a translucent pair and a solid rubber pair, and they said that the solid rubber pair actually might even perform better than the translucent colorway. So if you want a shoe with amazing traction, this is your shoe. Also, for the people who are watching this from Asia who have XDR shoes available, those extra durable rubber outsoles also apparently bite insanely well. So basically, the KD15s have amazing traction no matter what colorway you get. I'm going to give the traction a 9.8 out of 10. The reason it's not a 10 out of 10 is because there is a slight amount of dust pickup with the KD15s. However, I will say it is extremely easy to wipe these shoes. Unlike the Giannis Immortality 2s that I reviewed recently, those shoes required me to really drag my hand hard across the traction colorway to clean them. The KD15s is just a brush. Just my hand just touches the shoe and it's reset. Now, what do I like the second most about the shoe? The thing I like the second most about the shoe is the cushioning. For me personally, I typically like very cushioned shoes, something akin to the Paul Georges or LeBrons. However, this shoe is not super cushioned in that way, but I still love the cushioning setup. The cushioning setup in the KD15s is a full-length Zoom Strobel unit combined with a Cushlon midsole. For those of you who don't really know what that means, basically, in my experience with this shoe, it felt like I was playing on a diving board. The energy return on these shoes were insane. Basically, I felt somehow very well cushioned, even though the cushion setup felt minimal and my feet were low to the ground. And I also felt very springy. It was just an amazing experience from something I typically don't have a big preference towards. So the cushioning blew me away because it is minimal. It is for people who make a lot more cuts, who want to feel the floor, but it is still somehow enough cushioning to support someone like me who's had surgery on both their hips. So I don't know how I love this cushion setup. It just worked extremely well. And it was one of the best parts of the shoe. I'm going to give the cushioning setup a 9.5 out of 10. Now, what do I like the third most about the shoe? It's going to be the support system of the shoe. You get these plastic cages in the KD15s that really help lock the top of your foot into the shoe. When you tie your laces that are laced through this plastic cage system, the shoe becomes almost like a stiff sock that somehow locks your foot in very well. I felt very supported. Even though the shoe is not the most stable shoe, it definitely sticks to your foot and doesn't have your foot slide around in them because of this support system. And it was just something new and interesting that I hadn't seen before that very much worked for my foot. All right, now I'm going to be breaking away from my list format just for a second because the KD15s are a little bit complex when it comes to the negative part of the shoe. So for the fourth part of the shoe that I noticed the most or that I like the most, these are actually going to be all cons. Anything from beyond here is mostly going to focus on the negatives of the shoe. And this is what made me greatly change my overall ranking of the shoe. So one of the things that I don't like about the shoe is that it runs short and narrow. However, if you tell someone to go up half a size, they will most likely experience heel slippage. I personally believe that a lot of the people who are experiencing heel slippage are people who went up half a size or who are wearing a shoe size that is a little bit too too big for them. Personally, myself, I went true to size and I did not have any heel slippage. I did have that ankle tightness and soreness. However, I did feel the narrowness of the shoe. After wearing it for a long period of time, my feet just started to really hurt. After wearing the shoe for a long time, and as the months went on, I did have to bring a backup pair of shoes. I love playing in these shoes, but after about 45 minutes to an hour, my feet would just be cramping because the shoe is too narrow for me. And it is a shame because I do think maybe going up half a size would be beneficial, but from everyone across the board and the other reviews I've seen, that opens the door for heel slippage, which is a pretty considerable problem from the shoe. So I did not experience any heel slippage in my pair, but the pair was just too narrow for me and it ran fairly short. Additionally, I do not like the lacing system that much. I do love the fact that the shoes go through the plastic caging. I do think that is a great lockdown fit. However, I find myself having to adjust my laces all the time when playing this game or playing basketball games. I personally would tie my shoe too tight in some areas. I'd have to loosen up the shoe. And the shoe's material, it feels almost like a string to a balloon. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but when you have a balloon, that string, that is literally what the laces feel like. And it just doesn't feel very premium. I know that a lot of shoe reviewers will mix up poor materials with materials that are actually just meant to be lightweight. I was not a fan of the lacing system and I am not a big fan of the fit. And that is just a big shame because overall the shoe performs amazing. I am very blown away by the performance, but I cannot wear the shoe for a long period of time, which just really is not the best for someone in my case scenario who tends to try to play basketball about 3 times a week. Now moving on to the last part of the shoe, or the part of the shoe that I liked the least, but was still not actually that bad, was the materials. I know I touched on them briefly before, but the materials are all lightweight and they're fairly breathable. The shoe did get hot after playing for it in a long periods of times. However, it is fairly more breathable than your standard shoe. I don't think you'll have any issues with breathability for this shoe. I will mark the materials down for their lack of durability. Again, these materials are made to be lightweight. They're very functional. They're very movable. They're breathable, but they are not going to last you a long time. This is not a shoe that I would recommend wearing outdoors. Even if you do get the XDR material, I think that anything that's not extra durable or not the extra durable part of the traction is going to die fast. I don't see these being a shoe that you could wear for many, many years or for many seasons of basketball. I think this would be great for someone who wants to play one season in them. But for me personally, the fit and the lack of durabilities in the material will bring the shoe down in my overall ranking. All right, after looking over my notes for the shoes, there are a few more things that I want to talk about for the shoe. So there is a little bit lack of stability in the shoe. It does have a shank plate on the bottom of the shoe that is made to prevent the shoe from over bending. I did feel that was there. That did add to the amazing springboard effect that I felt. However, the lack of stability that I noticed personally came from when I was making jumps to the left or right. The shoe just is so lightweight and molds to your feet so well that there are times when the lack of ankle support is a bit of an issue. I wish this shoe was more of a mid top. And I want to say that when I initially got the shoe, this back part of the heel would constantly hit the back of my heel. I originally was going to talk about that in the review, but it did stop happening as I broke the shoe down. So in terms of my consensus for the shoe, I do think that it is an amazing performer. However, the caveats or the cons of the shoe really hold the KD15s back. Overall, or for my overall score of the shoe, I'm going to give it a 91 out of 100. If this had no problem with heel slippage, if the shoe was a little bit more wide, or if I could go half a size up without worrying about heel slippage, it would have been probably a 97. It would have been one of my favorite shoes of all time. But due to the fact that I now have to bring a second pair of shoes to the gym simply because the shoe is too narrow for my foot, it does make me have to bring this review down to a 91. Also, due to the materials not being so long lasting and having the price tag of 150, that also bumped the shoe down slightly. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit better of an explanation of why I'm not giving the shoe a 10 out of 10. Personally, is this shoe a buy? I would say yes. You should probably buy this shoe and test it. And if it works for you, you will love it. For some of the people who the shoe fits well and they don't have any heel slippage, they say it's one of their favorite shoes of all time. And I will still say this shoe is probably in my top 10 shoes of all time. but it is no longer in my top 3 just because it's not wide enough for me and of the issues I mentioned earlier. So yes, it is a 91 out of 100. I would still recommend buying it. And for the price, I do think that is a fair tag, maybe 140 or 130 for the lack of durability in the materials. But overall, it's a great shoe. I recommend it. Just get it from somewhere that you can return it from if the shoe doesn't work out for you.